welcome back to Just Making It. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some inside work in the house because outside the weather's really bad. We can't do any farming. So what we're going to do is I'm setting up and getting ready to do an epoxy pour. We're going to pour the island here. And we're going to pour around the sink area. So what I've done is I put Bondo along the edge and it gives it like a stone look. So that's all dried. And then I had to do some Bondoing because I added this. And then I put Bondo on the cracks of the countertop. And my next step is going to be sanding. I got to sand all this. I got to prime it, get it ready for the epoxy. So we're going to make it look like white marble. We're going to add a little bit of color into it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do this island. Okay, what I have to do now is I got to lift this sink up. I already detached it from underneath. Got all the water lines and the drain disconnected, and I got to pull the sink because we want to put epoxy around the edge. So that's what I need to do now. Okay, I have the island and the sink area over here. I have this all sanded lightly and wiped down. You don't want any dust on there. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my epoxy undercoat. Okay, this is for MDF, plywood, and other porous materials. And that's what I'm going to put down as a base. It's white on top of this. I made this island. That's why you see, Bondo. That's where I had nails and stuff, but that'll all be covered up. Putting down the base coat now. We're going to give it 2 coats of this. I got my first base coat on. What we're going to do is let that dry for about an hour. And then I'll put another coat on, but before I do that I have to do a light sand and then get all the dust off and then put another coat on. But you could see right here what I did is I took a knife and I rounded the edge here because the epoxy, after we put it on, you'll see we'll have tape here. And after the epoxy dries for like 3 hours, we'll peel that tape off, and you want the epoxy to run down so it covers the edge. So you want a little slope on your edges. But okay, right now we're going to let that dry. Now we're going to jump over to here, and I have a special primer for laminate. It's called Bonding Primer and Sealer. It's actually for laminate, tile, and granite. So that's going to be our base for on top of this. Okay, right, well, I laid down the first coat of the primer. This is not the epoxy, it's just the primer. And I sanded it real lightly after it dried. And now I'm going to put another coat of primer on. And that should be it. And then after that, we got to do some taping. And then we'll be able to do the epoxy. So right now I'm just going to put the next coat of primer down. There we go. Okay, now that after we got our second coat on everything, what I'm going to do is tape here with this masking tape, and we're going to make a dam. And what I mean by that is we're going to put tape all along the edge, all the way around. And what that'll do is keep the epoxy from pouring over the edge. And then you'll see, we'll wait a little while and then we'll peel this off, and the epoxy will want to pour over the edge. And then we'll get the epoxy on the edge. So that's what we got to do now. So I'm just going to go right down the line here. Okay, I got the island all taped off. Got tape all the way around it. I went around it about 3 times. All right, now we're going to tape off the main part of the countertop on the kitchen. We'll do the same thing. Just make a dam. Okay, I've got everything dammed up here. All the way around. So now we're basically ready for the epoxy. But I got to mix all the colors up. Alright, we got all our supplies here. We've got our epoxy over there with our hardener. And we're going to mix everything right here. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit about the colors that we're going to add to this. We've got a silver, okay. Over here we've got diamond dust metallic. And over here we got white metallic. And then we're going to put a little bit of blue in. It's like a baby blue. And then we're going to put a darker blue in. And then we have our dyes here, which it's mainly going to be white, and we're going to put a little bit of black in. So that's what we got to do here. And this is the nice thing about doing this. I could have just bought new countertops, but we can add the colors that we want and make it look like what we want. So that's the whole idea of doing this. All right, I got the epoxy here in these jugs. This is the resin and this is the hardener. So we're going to mix it 1 to 1, okay? As soon as you put the hardener in, it's activated. So we got to mix it up real good. We're going to mix each bucket up for at least 5 minutes with the drill mixer. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put in my regular resin. And I heated this up a little bit so that it's runny. So it comes out of the jug real good. Just takes a little time. Now that I got my A and B 1 to 1 ratio, I went 2 quarts and another 2 quarts, which is 4 quarts. So we got a gallon right here. I'm going to mix it up. It's going to take about 5 minutes. I want to mix it really good. This is a really important process to mix it really, really good with the hardener. Okay, I got my base color of what we want mixed. I've got diamond dust in here, which is like sparkles, with white, and the epoxy is mixed. So now I'm going to go over here to these two buckets, and this is going to be our color mix buckets. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, and we're just going to put some of this in there. And I'm going to say right there. A little bit more. Right there. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we've got this mixed up. This is our gray. Okay. We're going to put a little swirl in here. Like that. All it takes is a little bit. We're not going to mix that. We also want to do the same to this because we want it all to be the same. So we're going to put this right about there. Okay. We're going to put a little bit in there like we did on the other one. Swirl it around. There's really no set pattern to this. Okay. Now we're going to take our other color that we had here and we're going to put it in. There we go. Just like that. A little bit more. Alright, we're going to come over here and do the same. We're not going to mix this, we're just going to let it settle. Okay, now Lisa wants a little blue in there. So I'm just going to use spray paint. And we're going to just put a little blue in there like that. Do the same to this side. Okay. Next, Lisa wants a little dark blue. So we're going to spray a little dark blue in there. And we'll go with that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take more of our base color, okay? I'm going to fill it up some more. Okay. I'm looking at the scale on the bucket here, 2.5. Alright, and we're going to put some in here. About right there. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a swirl of this. Swirl this. Okay. They give you plenty of material. We've got a large area, but we've got a lot of stuff. I can actually do some other things with this. So I'm just going to repeat the process as I fill this up with my colors. Okay, some dark blue. We're going to go in here, dark blue. And we're going to go light blue. Okay. Now we're going to get more of our base material. And we're going to fill it up some more. We'll go right there. 3. Okay. And we're going to repeat the process. Put a little bit of this in there. A little bit of this in here. Okay. This color. This color here, like that. Now our spray paint, light blue, and a little bit of dark blue. Okay. Now we're going to put the rest of it in there. So this will give us plenty of epoxy to do the whole thing. Put that in there like that. Put that in there like that. And there you have it. There's our mix. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to pour this out. We're not going to mix that up. Okay, being that we mixed it here, I got a little epoxy on the table, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread this out. It's just going to get covered up. Okay, and right here we have our bucket of mix. You can see the colors in there, and we're just going to pour it out. So we are ready to go, and what we're going to do, we're going to go in an angle. Okay, we're going to, let's say there's no right way or wrong way, but I think what we're going to do is just go in this type of angle, like towards the corner. So what we're going to do is just start here. I'm just going to pour it out. Don't have to go all the way to the edge because it's going to self-level. And then I'm going to just go right next to it, like this. Go. Okay, now we're going to do this. We're going to go in an angle like this. Okay, I poured the epoxy. Came out pretty nice. Now what I got to do is I got to torch it. Get all the air bubbles out. So we got it spread all the way around. It's going to take about 3 hours, and then what we'll do is we'll peel this tape off and let it run down the side. Alright, what we're going to do now is we're going to put the heat gun to it because there's some air bubbles, and this will eliminate the air bubbles. So I'm just going to run the heat gun over it. Which I don't see a lot of air bubbles, but sometimes they're hard to see. I just got done peeling off the tape on the side, and see how the epoxy wants to run over, which is good. Then I just took my hand with gloves and tapped that epoxy in. It's still running. It's been about 3 hours since we poured it. And you can see the drips, you know, coming off the bottom. I'm going to wait a little bit longer because it's still working. And then we're going to go around with a knife, a putty knife, and scrape it off. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, our epoxy's nice and hard now. It's been sitting for over a day. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to get ready to sand the surface. I got 220 grit. We just got to roughen it up. And I'm going to put a top coat on it next. This is the resin. This is the hardener. You mix it 2 to 1. And if we need to, we can mix a little water into it. So when I go to roll it out, we don't get overlapping streaks with the roller, and it lays a little smoother. But what this will do is it'll put a nice hard coat on top of the epoxy. So say if you did cut on it with a knife, it protects it. Alright, I got all my sanding done. So now I'm going to put in the resin. Alright, now I got the resin in there. Now I'm going to put the hardener in there, part B. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to mix that with the resin. Then I'm just going to stick it. Stir it. Stir it. Just make sure it's really mixed good. I'm going to put a little water in this. You can put up to 2% water, just to make it a little bit more runnier. It's pretty thick. Okay, I'm putting the high gloss finish on. It's pretty thick. I can see why they want you to add a little bit of water. But what's nice about this, it doesn't make a big mess. It's not real runny. I got done laying down the top coat. You can see it. It sort of gives it like an orange peelish shine. It's supposed to really protect it really well. So that was the last step right there. It's all done. Well, I know this is something unusual on my channel, but being that the weather was bad, I figured I'd do an indoor project and video it. So I hope you like it. Give it a try. It's not that hard, but you do have a lot of prep work. That's the hardest part. Taping everything off, making sure that it's going to stay in place so you don't make a big mess. Well, see you next time on Just Making It.